On this channel, I like to talk about instruments. Usually weird, obscure instruments that I think are interesting or that I want to share weird facts about. But it's important to remember that the everyday instruments that we take for granted are also special. I mean, they all make music, and that's awesome. In this video, I want to talk about one of the most well-known instruments in the entire world, the piano. Specifically the acoustic piano that comes in either grand or upright models. With so many electric keyboards on the market, it's important to make that distinction. The piano is a super versatile instrument that can be found in a ton of genres and styles of music. With its wide range of dynamic capabilities, it can play lead, comp chords, play a bass line, or any combination all at the same time. But in this video, I want to answer a specific age-old question. Is the piano a string instrument? Before we get into it, make sure to like this video and leave a comment suggesting what musical topic I should get into next. It really helps the channel. Okay, let's get some context. The piano is actually an evolution of many other older keyboard instruments, including the harpsichord, the clavichord, and even the organ. I won't go into the differences or the history of how the piano became what it is today in this video, but if you're interested, let me know in the comments. Right now, I want to focus on the design of the modern piano. Let's start from where the player comes in. A full-sized piano has 88 individual keys. When a key is pressed, it triggers a hammer to strike the strings that are assigned to that hammer. Depending on how high or low the note is, the hammer could strike up to 3 different strings. The lowest piano notes have only 1 string. It's really thick and super durable. The lower middle range has 2 strings, and the last 3 octaves of the piano have 3 strings each. All the strings are tuned to the same note. These multiple sets of strings not only make the sound louder, but add to the overall tone quality of the instrument. The strings themselves actually don't make a lot of sound. I'm halfway through and I just realized I didn't take my IDs off, so you caught me. I work here. They are strung and supported on bridges at each end. The strings vibrate the air, which travels to the soundboard underneath the bridges. This giant, heavy, expensive piece of metal is what gives the piano most of its sound amplification. But while the soundboard does do a lot of the heavy lifting, it's important to note that the entire piano vibrates to cause sound. So case closed. Strings vibrate to create sound, so the piano is a string instrument, right? Well, it's a little more complicated than that. The actual parts of the instrument aren't the only thing that goes into labeling them. We also need to look at how the instruments are played. A string instrument like the violin or the cello does rely on string vibrations to make noise like the piano. But those string vibrations are caused by plucking, strumming, or bowing the strings. The piano uses hammers to strike the strings. That's a fundamental difference of how these instruments work. The hammers strike the strings in a much more percussive way than other string instruments. Wait a minute. Is the piano a percussion instrument? This is another big school of thought in the music world. The piano is a percussion instrument. Hammers, much like mallets, strike the strings, much like wooden bars on a marimba, and the soundboard vibrates much like the pipes connected to those marimba bars. We can also look at the kinds of music played on the piano. The piano can keep the groove by comping chords and is usually grouped with the other percussion instruments, or the rhythm section. Okay, so the piano is a percussion instrument. But wait a minute, if I started playing the violin with a hammer, nobody would call that a percussion instrument. And the piano does still have those strings. So it's a percussion instrument, it's a string instrument, it's both, it's neither. This is the part of the video where I tell you nobody knows. The piano fits the criteria for both instrument categories, but it doesn't really fit in either. There's also no universally accepted categorization system for instruments. There are always going to be outliers and exceptions when trying to organize something as unique as musical instruments. I mean, look at the saxophone. That thing's a woodwind instrument? Sorry, another time, another video. Back to the piano. There is one categorization system I do want to talk about in this video. This system categorizes instruments based on how they produce sound. The Hornbostel sax system was created by Erich Moritz von Hornbostel and Kurt Sax in 1914. Through the years, this became the preferred system of categorization for ethnomusicologists and organologists. Those are people who study music as culture and people who study instruments, respectively. The system is still in use today, and its last major update was in 2011. The system sort of works like the Dewey Decimal System for library books. There are 5 major categories of instruments, with a ton of subcategories within each main category. While there are over 300 basic categories, I want to talk about the main 5 in this video. Those are idiophones, instruments that produce noise by vibrating the entire body of the instrument itself. Think of a cymbal or a marimba. Membranophones, these produce sound by vibrating a stretched membrane. This is like a snare drum or tom drums where you have that membrane drum head stretched over. And also the kazoo. Aerophones, these vibrate air instead of the actual instrument. All the woodwind instruments fit inside this category. Electrophones, instruments that use electricity to assist sound production or use electricity solely for sound production. There are examples of pianos with built-in microphones that fit this category. Also the theremin. And finally, the chordophones, described as instruments that produce sound by vibrating strings that are stretched across a fixed point. This category is where all the string instruments fit, as well as the piano. So there you have it. Is the piano a string instrument? Yes. Is it a percussion instrument? Yes. Is it a chordophone? Definitely. But at the end of the day, these are all just labels, and the piano is so awesome that it's okay that it transcends these labels. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about the piano for however long this video turns out to be. If you did, I would really appreciate you interacting with it in some way. Like, comment, share it with somebody. Everything helps to grow the channel and get my videos seen by more people. Subscribe for more videos like this, and thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.